How's it going, everyone? Happy Thursday. It is definitely happy for me. I hope it is for you. Hope you're having a great week. This is CCM Live, and my name is Marcus. I'm your humble host, taking you through another week of awesome interviews and talking with some great people. I mean, really, it's been an awesome week. Did you guys miss any episodes this week? Have you ever missed an episode? Because if you have, you can find them at ccmmagazine.com. Click that Live with Marcus tab, or find the podcast on iTunes. You search for CCM, you'll find it. Listen, I'm watching your comments. This is awesome. Lots of people already piping in here. Look, greetings, Fiefdom. That's right, Brandon. Looks like the Fiefdom's here in full force. And I know you guys are all excited about my guest today. I'm excited. Look, this is the first time we've had an actual repeat. Like, since we've been doing this is like episode 43 or something. And any day where I get to talk with Kevin Max is a great day. So look, we can't hear your applause when I intro him. So here's what you got to do. You got to hit all the hearts and all those little, those little things. And if you hit share, that's cool too. Invite somebody, bring him here. So look, Dawn Michelle was here twice, but she was here with Firefly and with herself. This is Kevin Max coming as himself 2 times. So he's got a lot going on. I'm excited to talk with him. He's got a new album. He's got a new RV. He's got a book. He's got dcTalk still. And let's talk to him right now. Give it up for the iconic voice and my friend, Kevin Max. Awesome. What's up, man? How's it going? Yes, he is here, and we're seeing your face this time, and this is great. You were such a good sport to just hang out with us on the phone last time, and people still loved it.
Well, I mean, when you have 2 personalities that have a lot of really interesting intellectual things to say, people will stay on the line.
Yes, and so when we find that second one, you just let me know. Kevin, where is Kevin and his beard? Joel says. See, people are very excited about your beard. Is this? I mean, at what point were you like, it's time for a beard? Like.
Well, when I was called to do, Lord of the Rings appendices,
yeah.
they ran out of dwarves, and so they started calling people that naturally would look great as a dwarf or a hobbit. And so I'm kind of like in between a dwarf and a hobbit and an elf. So I kind of like.
I was thinking elf, man. I've always thought you've kind of got the elf vibe of like, we're just slightly different than everybody else. We could own you, but we choose. You got the intense look. Yeah, all the above.
That's kind of like the elf look right there. It's
it really is. It is. It's amazing. So, we start this. I wasn't able to do this, and we didn't have this part of the show when you were on last. And what we ask people do, because they come in from very different environments, is to grab some kind of random object around you in your immediate vicinity that tells us a little bit more about you, or show us if you don't want to get up. Your bookshelf?
Well, it's kind of a random object, right? Oh, you want a real random object. Okay, hold on. How about this?
Whoa! Is that the Predator? Oh, it's Alien. Sorry. I could barely tell. It's Alien.
This is the original H.R. Giger. Alien.
Whoa.
I'm kind of a nerd, And then I got this guy here at my studio. You might recognize him.
Whoa! No, I don't. Is that a G.I. Joe Pez, like from the 50s?
That is a Elvis Presley goes to the army Pez.
Yes, that is Elvis. Oh my goodness, I did not know they made that. That's amazing.
And then regular Elvis. You know what I mean? Regular Elvis.
Whoa. Okay. See, that is you are a collector, my friend. That is not something I knew about you. So that's good. Nerds are the best, Donetta says. I completely agree. You guys should see my Iron Man collection. It's amazing. You are about to hit the road. You're about to do a big trip, Nashville to Vancouver. What is going on?
Well, I'm doing a show, and I've decided that when I do shows now, I take my whole family with me.
Yeah.
When I can. There's some shows that I do that I can't take my kids with me. I'm doing a couple of club shows next week in Texas, and that's probably not great for kids. But I'm doing a show in Vancouver at a really cool theater, and November 18th. So we decided to get in my RV, which is called Bilbo Wagons, and drive all the way up to Vancouver and back from Franklin, Tennessee, which is what we did. What is it? Maybe 3 weeks ago, we went all the way over to Camarillo, California, for a show that I did. Took the RV up there for the first time, and it was amazing. Wow. My wife and I learned how to hook it up. How to hook up everything at the RV sites, and so we got so good at it that we could almost do it in the dark.
Wow.
The only thing I don't do is I don't do the black waste, which is necessary, obviously, but
right, yeah.
It's the toilet stuff. I don't deal with the poo.
So Amanda does that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll deal with throw up. She won't do that. And then I don't do with the poo. She does that. So we kind of, on and
you
off,
fill in each other's gaps. That's great.
You have to. It's a teamwork effort being in an RV on the road. And I'm so glad that I have my best friend and what a wonderful, wonderful wife who really, really is a hardworking, very, very tough yet fragile woman. So I'm lucky.
Well, I would imagine bringing kids. There's got to be a set of challenges maybe that you don't get while you are in a plane. What would you say is the I don't know, the key to not going crazy and for everyone having a good time for those long stretches of road trip?
I mean, the key with we have 4 kids, and they're all 13 and younger. And so it's kind of like, obviously entertainment is key. So they all have their iPads and they all have their, their video game, whatever you call it, BBS or DDS. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
And we have a TV that they can watch, and we have books, and if they're feeling adventurous, they can come up to the front with Dad and listen to my 80s new wave music with me. Yes. And they can sit in the cab. I play first wave XM radio. That's all I play. I don't. Nice. I don't even go into my my phone for songs in my in my library. I go directly to XM radio and what is it called again? First wave, classic alternative for hours on end. It bothers my wife a little bit because she's into classic music and she's into like Damien Rice and like Jack White and things like that. And so when I'm playing, Flock of Seagulls over and over and over again, it's
Now, is this a phase? Like, you know what I mean? Like how you go through like certain styles that you were vibing with, or is this like, this is what Kevin Max listens to? Or are you just on a kick right now?
It's the purest form of musicology for Kevin Max, is that almost kind of post-punk, early new wave synthesizer music. Everything from Joy Division to The Cure, Echo and the Bunnymen, Depeche Mode, David Bowie, Duran. It goes on and on.
Speaking of Bowie, you got to you've released a little single there with Mark Martel, a little Under Pressure, David Bowie and Queen cover. That was awesome. I listened to it. It was
no pressure. No pun intended. There was no pressure. It was like, singing with Mark Martel doing a Queen song. You know what I'm saying? And people were telling me like, why weren't you singing the Queen song? Or why weren't you singing Queen's part? And I'm like, I'm singing with Mark Martel. You know what I mean? Do you know who he is? Do you know what he sounds like?
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that is Mark, I heard it way back in the day, like in the late 90s or early 2000s. This guy from down here sounds just like you,
That's right.
And I've heard that about a lot of other singers, but specifically Mark, I've heard it a lot. So I finally went and listened to him, and I was like, wow, he does kind of sound like me, but not really. He's got his own thing,
right?
You know. But when he does Freddie, it's just alarming.
It is. It is.
There's nothing like it on the planet, and
right.
You know, I think it's a huge compliment to him. He's a vocal chameleon. You know, I bet you he can do a Bob Dylan impersonation too. We just haven't heard it. You know?
Yeah, right. I can see where people would say that where it is in the vibrato. I think in the way that you guys use vibrato, that's probably where they thought you sounded the same. Obviously, tone is super different, but what a great cover. And if you guys haven't heard it, didn't it just release?
I think they teased it tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
But awesome. I don't think it goes live until tomorrow. His record goes up on iTunes and everywhere tomorrow, and it's called
there you go.
Oh, sorry, I lost my screen. It's called Thunderbolt and Lightning. Mark Martel.
All right. That is a great name, and good timing too. There's that Queen movie coming out. David says Mark does a spot on Toby Mac. Well, have you heard this?
No, I've never heard Mark do Toby Mac.
Well, you're gonna definitely have to ask him. That would be great. You'd be able to judge it better.
I can do a spot on Brian Duncan, but I'm not going to do it right here. I only do it if I'm paid to do it, and this thing right now that we're doing is free, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. You've got new music even since we talked, and you were kind of teasing this a couple months ago when we first chatted. You're talking about synthwave. You've got that coming with Romeo Drive. Did you really? Has this been 6 years worth of songs written for this? Like, this has been a long game kind of a project for you.
Yeah, I wrote. Well, people that follow me know that I make a lot of records, and I've put out many records over the last 5 years. But with this particular project, I started with right after Broken Temples, actually.
Okay.
I had some songs that were sitting around that felt really synthy that didn't work on Broken Temples album. And around that time, we actually did a thing on Pledge Music where it was like we decided to do or was this Playing Games with the Shadow? I can't remember what record it was, but we released a EP just through Pledge of 3 songs with my friend Chrysanthemum, who's in a band called Service Unicorn, and he's like a synth guy. Okay, and we did a Gary Newman cover. We did a Joy Division cover, and then I spoke a poem. So those kind of like hung around in my, in my vault on the computer, and I have several albums worth of songs on my computer that I haven't released. And then after Playing Games with the Shadow and after AWOL, which kind of got me back into the synth thing, I was like, man, I've got all of these synthesizer songs that I've written on my Logic. Why not, put them out? And so Romeo Drive is just a few of those. I mean, there's at least, I would say if I went through my Logic folder right now, there's over, let me look at it real quick. There is over 120 songs on Logic.
Wow.
But I'm obviously not all of those are discoverable or worthy of hitting the airwaves. But
well, the ones that you picked, you've really woven together with this whole concept album and this story. Tell us about Romeo Drive and this rogue cybernetic and the story.
Yeah, so Romeo Drive. I decided to make it a concept because it started with a poem. So I wrote a poem called 2079, which actually goes back to Crashing Gates album. And I wrote a song on the Crashing Gates album called Out of the Wild, which was talking about the future. And it was talking about the year 2079. And so for whatever reason, I was intrigued by that year. I don't know if it was a dream or whatever. So I started writing this poem called 2079, and that's what became the Romeo Drive poem. And then I wrote the Romeo Drive song about the cybernetic unit Romeo Drive. He's an N Drive Systems unit, G2 number 0090. And then those songs kind of made their way into other ideas. And then so I just cobbled together a bunch of songs about a robot. And there's, my wife is always like, hey, are you going to write a song that everybody else can relate to? Not just yourself. And so I wrote a song on this record specifically called Are You a Spirit? And it was originally called Are You the Spirit?
Love that song.
And Are You the Spirit is talking about the Holy Spirit. And so he's kind of asking in the poem 2079, I don't want to give it away, but he's saying, I want to know God. I want to know who God is, but he's wrestling with the fact that he's been made by human beings who are obviously so, messed up that he's just like, I don't want to be like the human race. So I want to know what God is like, and why did God create these beings that created me? Why are they so flawed? Why do they hate each other so much? Because it's an apocalyptic tale, obviously, too. So,
well, it seems extremely cinematic. Have you ever wanted to do like movies? I mean, is this something you can picture as a film?
Absolutely. I mean, I think like a stop animation film of this would be perfect. To do a sci-fi film, I mean, you really want a pretty deep storyboard, and this is just a couple of ideas in poetry form. If I was going to make a Romeo Drive movie, you'd want to literally sit down and write a screenplay that got into develop the character and all that.
If they can make a movie out of Polar Express, a full-length movie out of like a 5-minute book, then you got more than they do.
No doubt.
Just
watching the original Halloween the other night too. I mean, that's not really a deep story. I mean, guy escapes from mental institution and walks around the street.
Right.
House. I could do this. I could write this. You're right, man. I need to do it.
I think you could, and I think you need to. You have a song called "Love Will Tear Us Apart." The first thing I noticed with that was just that that's such a stark statement by itself. It's a great song too. Talk about that song, that title, and sort of what you were writing out of.
Well, first of all, I cannot take the credit for that song. "Love Will Tear Us Apart" was the other cover, and that's a cover by the band Joy Division. Sorry. I didn't mean to bring the rock and roll school on you right there.
It's okay. The Joy Division is one I've missed out on, so I gotta catch up.
Understood, because they were like the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s, and strangely enough, they were the one band that ushered in the sound that I love so much, which is new wave, and it was basically them, Roxy Music, and David Bowie. So Joy Division were the first band to really kind of play with technical sounding drums. So they used like electronic sounding drums. Sorry, somebody was trying to call me.
Funny.
And I'm kind of like, just something stuck out to me with them, even as an early on, teenager. It just felt different to me. And I was like, this is an important band, So one of their most important songs is called "Love Will Tear Us Apart." And it's basically Ian, the lead singer, talking about his relationship that was basically, in peril. And the song is very sad, put to a very amazing, almost kind of uplifting melodic chorus. So I tend to go towards that. I love painful lyrics, yet melancholy and kind of hopeful sounding melodies. It's probably why I like the Smiths so much,
Yeah. Well, now I have to listen to that. And what's great is you pull it off so well to make it sound. It sounds like Kevin Max to me. I mean, and you of course are a purveyor of great songs, the classics, and you love to cover songs, whether it's live or on records. Do you? This might be a weird question. do you feel like what do you enjoy more in a live setting? Do you enjoy doing your own songs more or other people's? Because I know you love singing covers.
It's a mixture. I mean, it depends on the song. Like I'm a very harsh critic of music, and
Yeah.
I feel like I've written some really good songs, and I feel like I've written some songs that don't really equate live. And so I tend to, what I do live is I tend to do songs that I know are going to work in that live setting. And some of them are covers because people, react to them right away, or I react to them because I grew up listening to, for example, I do Heroes by David Bowie in just about every live show that I do.
Yeah.
The reason I do
Yeah.
Heroes is because it was a quintessential tune for me that completely, you know, changed my love for music again and made me,
Yeah.
it became, I became obsessed with it basically. So I
Yep.
tend to play that because I get inspiration playing that live. But yeah, I've been asked by my fans to play more of my deeper cuts live, and it's
Sure.
something that I need to start doing because I feel like I've got a lot of music that needs to be heard live. I'm just kind of lazy about going back into all of my albums because I've got 14 of them, you know, and then
Yeah.
not to
Where do you even
mention
begin?
yeah, not to mention dcTalk, and then not to mention all the stuff that I do love to cover. So it is a daunting task. At the end of the day, I try to create something on stage that I'm proud of every song. Like I don't want one song to feel like a gimme, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
When do you feel at your creative best, and maybe by contrast at your worst? When do you feel at your creative best?
uh, that's an interesting question. I feel at my creative best kind of all the time.
You know, when I was thinking of that question,
I know that
I
I know
almost
that
had a feeling you would answer that way because it's true.
I don't necessarily get tired of creating. Um, I there it kind of comes and goes sometimes a little bit, but I'm never tired of it. I'm watching myself on Facebook now as I talk to you, and it's kind of weird. So
Yeah.
I gotta stop doing that. I'm looking at my face
Yeah.
as I'm talking to you on my phone, and it's wow.
It's tripping you out a little
Yeah,
bit.
I can't watch that anymore. Um, I know that sounds really narcissistic, but I've never really slowed down. I mean, I kind of enjoy writing. That's what I do. I make records for a living. I mean, this is my station, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of find myself at it whenever I got a spare moment. I'm up here writing a song, and I love that. If I play guitar, I'd probably be, everywhere with a guitar in my hand. I mean, then there's just people that are like that. I mean, I remember hearing that Elvis growing up brought his guitar with him everywhere he went because
Yeah.
he was constantly coming up with ideas on the guitar. And so if I could make records for a living and not tour, I probably would do it.
Yeah.
Because I love the process of making an album. To me is the most rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. You you have even if you're in that space of creativity all the time, what would you say are like speed bumps for you that sort of you feel like either slows you down or takes you out of a groove?
Record labels, people that are in the industry, because they'll have their ideas of of what you should do.
Yeah.
Loved ones, friends that say, Kevin, why don't you make a CCM record? And I'm like, well, I've tried making a CCM record. It just doesn't work for me. Um, in fact, I would love to try to make a really cool electronic alternative worship album. I think it would be
That'd be
incredible.
amazing.
I just don't know if it's my skill set. And so I try to stick to what I know how to do, which is creating my style of music. And I
Yeah.
don't want to use the word brand because I hate the word brand. And I hate it when people say, you got to stay in your lane, man. You got to stay in a lane. And that's how you're, And that's how you're successful, by staying in a lane. I think it's just the opposite. I feel like I'm successful by being able to be free and being able to create what I want to create in the moment.
You are, yeah, you're the guy that's crossing 3 lanes of traffic and is,
Yeah.
in the carpool lane and then decided to cut over. It's awesome. You're free riding.
Walking backwards in traffic in my PJs. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
care. But the thing is, I mean, it does affect the amount of money you make, because the music that I make isn't necessarily like popular. The music I make isn't necessarily mainstream, or
Sure.
So there's a bit of a sacrifice in that. I have to work twice as hard, and I do have to get out and do the shows. And there's nothing wrong with doing the shows. I love doing the shows, but I'd rather be making records. And that's just that's a confession to all those people out there that are like, why does he only do 30 shows a year? Well, it's because I'd rather be making music.
Yeah, absolutely. Your video suddenly looks like you have been teleported to a distant land. Oh, you're back. There you go. You're back.
Okay.
That was it.
Sorry about that.
Okay, good. That worked. It looked really cool and psychedelic, though.
I did teleport for a second, and then I thought, he really needs me to stay in this space to continue the conversation.
Awesome. Well, lots of people, of course, here are piping in. They're asking about dcTalk. Obviously, you have on the books the next dcTalk cruise. So there you go. Brandon goes, dcTalk needs to happen. It will happen. And next summer. And it sounds like it's going to be an awesome boat. You're going to be heading into the Caribbean again. How are you guys? I mean, obviously, a lot of this happens closer to the cruise. But how are you guys approaching this one differently than the first one? Or is it the same deal?
I haven't even had a chance to discuss that yet with the other two members of the band. I mean, Mike and I talked about it just recently. I went to see him at David Lipscomb for the Newsboys United 2 nights ago. Hung out with him and Peter backstage. Those are my buddies, man. And we had a conversation briefly about it, like, what's it going to be? And I think, honestly, I think we're going to have to talk about trying something a bit different. I know for me, solo, I'm going to approach things differently this time. Also, I'm leading karaoke on a couple of different nights on the boat, which is great.
That's awesome.
So,
it's a blast. People loved that.
Yeah, I'm way into that. I want to do karaoke for all premiere production events. So whenever they do a big event, they just need to call me and I'll do karaoke. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Kara says invite your fans to do more.
The better. Cheesier the better,
Absolutely. That's great. Well, we had Michael. We interviewed him not too long ago, and he said something. Basically, he said the stuff that you've been saying for years, which is, it's got to happen eventually. And he basically said a tour will happen. Is that something that you've sensed or know about?
Man, I mean, if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna have to karate chop somebody.
Yeah.
In the face.
So that's a great quote.
It's just sad that it hasn't happened yet. Now, but I can't control that. I can't control that. That is 3 different guys deciding together we're going to do it.
Yep, that's right.
So, but as you saw, which I'm so glad that you were able to come out on the first cruise with us.
Yeah.
It felt kind of flawless. I mean, it was great. I thought it felt really sincere and fun. I mean, was it our best performance of all time? Probably not. Like I heard, I didn't hear one negative thing about it until about 2 or 3 months ago. I heard from some industry guy that it was kind of going around the industry that they thought that it was not as great as they thought it was going to be. And I'm like,
oh, stop. They weren't there then.
Because, we did 3 rehearsals, literally 3 rehearsals. That's it. And, jumped back up on stage and did this. I mean, and I felt like it was amazing. I feel like the more we do it, the more it'll be it'll compound and become even more wonderful. So I'm all about more DC Talk shows. I think it needs to happen.
Yeah.
I'm all about a DC Talk album. I feel
Yes.
like we should get back into the studio and make an album. I feel like we should, get right back in where Supernatural left off. I mean,
Absolutely.
obviously that was an album of its time. It's a late 90s album, so you have all those influences. But I have a couple ideas of who I think would be great to produce a DC Talk record, and one of them is a man named Paul Meany from Mute Map.
Okay, yes, who just produced the 21 Pilots album.
I think he would be phenomenal doing this. So I just want to throw this out there. I'm going to be in New Orleans on October 30th. Come on, Paul. Let's go out. Let's hang out. Let's have some coffee or whatever, and talk about producing DC Talk. I'm way into it.
What I love about watching your progression is that you have so much love for DC Talk still. You still are pushing forward. You're still pushing forward, hard with the stuff you do, and I just love that that you're kind of like open for whatever. Like you're going to be making music and doing your thing no matter what. If it would be amazing to do DC Talk. Otherwise, you got plenty of other stuff, including, you're writing again too.
Yeah, I think that's honestly, for the big thing to me, Marcus, is that I feel like DC Talk is missing in the industry. I feel like there's no other band like it. And it's just kind of a shame that it's not making music, because I feel like it opens up some other doors and some other windows musically for other people to enjoy it, because it is such an interesting, diverse group of guys,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, even the racial reconciliation piece of it, huge right now. The messages you guys had since the beginning of acceptance and love and forgiveness and all those things definitely needs to be spoken. Oh, there we go, Joel. He said Paul Meany plus DC Talk equals best album ever. Well, real quick, tell me, you've got a book coming too. What's going on with that?
I'm writing. Well, I mean, I feel like I do poetry, and it pretty much is lost on most people. So I don't want to try to push poetry on people anymore. They just don't get it. It's fine. I'll sit over here in my corner and moan about that and make my own poetry and keep it in the KMAX computer vault so they never see it again. And I'll read it myself. I do spoken word performances to myself behind theater curtains every day. It's amazing. But it's a memoir. It's my life story. And I try to do it with unfinished work, but it was kind of watered down. So this time I'm kind of getting really detailed about it. And there's a lot to be spoken about this that I can't really say right now, because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, as it were. But it deals with, the fact that I'm adopted. I mean, I was adopted by the most amazing couple on the planet, but I met my birth parents, in my early 30s, and so and I know them now. And we have a relationship, so it's an interesting take on the fact that I kind of come from two different worlds, and it's always been that way, even in my music. And
yes, absolutely.
So there's one world that's DC Talk, and then there's the world that's Kevin Mex. It's absolutely different, and it's juggling those two different worlds. And so I wrote a song about it on AWOL called Brand New Hit, which is really all about
great song.
Having to kind of go back and forth between people that know me as DC Talk, and then people that see me, they're like, who's that guy? He looks like Robin Williams. Who is it?
Yeah.
Sorry,
awesome.
I have my producer calling me now. I have my publicist calling me. Is a little shocking, because then you're like, oh, did I say something? And I didn't mean to say anything, And then
you're good. You're good. The karate chop to the face is a rallying cry, for all the DC Talk fans. Everything else, you're great.
Let that stand on its own. If we don't do what did I say? If we don't do a tour,
Wait, Joel quoted you. There it is. There it is.
I'm going to have to karate chop someone in the face. Perfect.
There. There it is. Thank you, Joel. Thank you for preserving that for posterity's sake. Yeah, lots of people just very excited about what you're doing, what you've done. Like Kara wants to hear a K-Max worship album. Whatever the Kevin Max equivalent of the Hawk in Paris album would be awesome. There you go.
Well, it's basically what I just did with this album. It's just a little bit more out there, you know.
There you go.
But yeah, synthtastic, all the same.
And Trista says you're blazing your own trail. Oh, it says tail, but we know you mean trail. Nothing wrong with that. What we are called to do. That's awesome. Well, finally, I guess how can we all be praying for you, man? Obviously, you're about to hit the road, so that's a big prayer point by itself.
That is probably the biggest. Is that safe travels with the family in the RV, which is, you know, I can't ask for enough prayers on that. Obviously, I've got my precious cargo.
Yeah, absolutely.
That just, you know, direction. Always, I'm always asking, you know, what do you want me to do, you know?
Yep.
And
yeah,
we tend to wrestle with it a lot, you know, and so I'm always asking for clarity. But I also am at a place in my life where I'm extremely happy because I'm able to do what I want to do. And, you know, I feel blessed to be able to make music, and specifically for people that get what I do. I love it. I just wish more could hear it. It would be more could get the opportunity to hear what's going on. So I'm guessing I'm asking for prayer for a huge audience.
Yeah. In the best way.
That isn't selfish at all, right? No. So yeah, I mean, safety for travels, and you know, just good health and good things for my kids and my wife, you know.
All right. Yeah, I agree with that. So you guys watching now or later, of course, this is how we do this now instead of saying we'll pray for you and then get busy. So let's pray. God, thanks so much for Kevin. I just love this guy, and I know you do too. I know that you've moved powerfully through his words and his music over the years. And just thank you for that. Lord, we pray for a great trip from his home to Vancouver, and that there be safety, that there be a lot of good memories made with the family, and that there would be just plenty of incredible moments musically and talking to people, just as there have been so many already. Thanks for this continued stream of creative consciousness that you've given him, and I just pray that this latest album would find its way to more people that have never heard Kevin's music, and in the interest of getting people to think about things a little bit deeper, which ultimately leads to you. So we just thank you for that, and we just pray for your continued direction, and for your energy and stamina in Kevin, and for plenty more to come. And so we just thank you for all this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And Lord,
thank you, my friend.
Bring dcTalk back together and let us do an album and tour.
That is a prayer many have prayed, my friend. Many have prayed, and probably
the prayer warriors need to come out of their tribes or their caves or whatever and start praying.
Yes.
That dcTalk would make a record and do some touring, which I think would.
But don't you see it starting to happen? Toby's album's out. That cycle will run. Tate looks like he's about to get Furler and Joel to sort of babysit the Newsboys while you guys go do your thing. It's like it's all coming together.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, both of my pals and members in dcTalk obviously have very interesting and beautiful careers, and so there's so much going on. You know, watching Michael the other night with Newsboys reminded me of, you know, man, this guy was kind of like didn't know what he wanted to do after his first solo album. Was just kind of out there trying to figure out life, and then all of a sudden Newsboys came along and snatched him up, literally, and have given him this amazing platform to do what he does best, which is sing, you know, and perform and to connect with people. And Michael Tate is such a beautiful heart for people, you know, and that it's what he does every night. And I'm so proud of him for that. And the same thing for Toby. I mean, he's like a great crowd pleasing entertainer who's got a huge heart for people, you know. And so it's cool that both of these guys are doing their thing. So it is difficult, you know, to step back and go, okay, selfishly, let's kind of stop everything we're doing and make a dcTalk record. But I don't think personally that would interfere with our solo.
You're all Renaissance, and you guys can figure it out.
I think it's going to only accent the solo career.
That's right. Absolutely. Yes. See, lots of people agree. That's great. Perfect. Well, I'm as always. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. I just love getting to talk. Love hearing what you're up to. I'm sure you're grinding on additional projects before this one's even out. So I'm sure we'll be hearing.
KevinMax.com is where people can go get Romeo Drive, and it's going to be uploaded after Halloween 31st. It'll be up there for people to get at www.kevinmax.com. Very simple. But if they pre-order it before October 31st, which is only like 2 days from now, right? 3 days from now, they get an extra track. Okay. And so, you know, but anyways, that album comes out. I'm excited about this duet I did with Mark Martel too. It's fun. I can't wait to hear the rest of his album. I can't wait to go see that movie either. The movie looks great. So,
man, you get always a lot going on. Excited about the book too. And KevinMax.com. You can also find out where he's going to be between, and Vancouver. You can just keep tabs on him. So
my wife,
see what you're playing.
My wife just texted me and said, "Don't forget to talk about the book."
All right.
And you just talked about the book, so thank you.
Oh, I knew what Amanda needed, so there you go. Well, thank you, my friend. Safe travels, and excited about the release. So KevinMax.com. On the 31st, it comes out. So the first place you can get it is KevinMax.com. I'm sure it will be in the other places shortly thereafter.
Absolutely, it'll be everywhere in probably middle of November. So Spotify, all the places that people like to go. It'll be out there hopefully before Christmas. You know.
All right.
It'll be there. You go. For everybody else, but go to KevinMax.com. It really helps the overall indie world when you go direct to the source and you don't stream it on Apple Music or whatever, which is
and it all sounds the same.
It's not bad. I'm just saying, you know, even though Trump passed that thing where we're going to get royalties now, I just don't see that changing a whole lot. So,
all right, KevinMax.com. Check it out, and then keep tabs on all the things Kevin Max, because there's always a lot going on. So thank you, my friend. Thanks for taking the time.
Love you,
Thanks,
Marcus.
Everybody watching. You too, man. Take care. That's what we got. It's getting super dark in here. I need my lights on. Thanks, everybody, for being here. It was so great to have Kevin and be able to see him this time, right? So go check out the album and go check out the website, too, see if he's playing somewhere near you. There's something in San Antonio, I think, in a few days called Euromax. I'd love to go see that show. It's like Euro New Wave Kevin Max. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. So anyway, go check that out. Hey, if you missed this, if you came in late or you're watching this later, ccmmagazine.com is where you can find all the Live with Marcus interviews, as well as if you go on Apple iTunes, search for CCM Magazine. You can find our podcast there. It's the audio version of this. We will be back next week. There's Harvest Festivals on Wednesday. So we're going to do a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday next week. And we've got some great guests lined up. So check us out then, okay? Thanks for being here, everybody. God bless. Bye.